Okay, places everybody, places. Who left this here? Can we get this back to the props department? D-TEKT Sussex, episode 75, intro, take one. And action. Hi, I'm Adam, this is my metal detector, and in this special episode I'll be taking you behind the scenes of D-TEKT Sussex. Okay, that's great, well done everybody. Roll credits. Hey everyone, I hope you're all safe and well. We're still in lockdown here in England, so I can't get out and metal detect, so I thought this week I'd put a video out showing you the equipment and the techniques I use to put together an episode of D-TEKT Sussex. If you've got a YouTube channel or you're thinking of starting one, you might find some of the tips and equipment that I use here useful. Everyone's different, every channel's slightly different, but hopefully you'll find something of interest. Let's get into it. So the first part of the video I'm going to cover principal photography, so recording yourself metal detecting. The second half of the video I'll go into a bit more detail as to how I get the B-roll or landscape images that you see throughout my my episodes. So the first thing you need to decide is how you're going to record your video. A couple of options. When I started out I used one of these. It's an action camera. This is a cheap one, about 40 or 50 pounds. It's made by 8th Man. It had an external port, so you could use an external microphone, which is important. I'll tell you about those in just a minute. But these are pretty good. The only drawback on these is you do get a bit of a fisheye effect on the lens, which you may have to correct later if you've got an editing suite that will compensate for that. But yeah, good little lightweight, very small, very compact way of recording your videos. The other way is on your smartphone. Now I'm actually recording this on my general day-to-day phone that I use. It's a Samsung Galaxy S9. This is my old phone, an S7. What I've done with this is I've cleared off all of the apps, all of the files, and just left it as a camera. So I just use this as a backup camera while I'm out and about, and I'll use this as a demo camera today while I'm showing you what I do when I'm out. So once you've decided what you're going to record on, the next thing to decide is how. The majority of people out there with metal detecting channels use a chest harness to attach either the phone or the action camera to you. If you're using an action camera, you'll need a chest harness with an action camera mount on it, like this. And all that does is the action camera just clips in there, and it's adjustable up and down, left and right. Oops, turn it on. There we go. And yeah, quite comfortable, quite lightweight to use. For the mobile phone, you'll need to get a clip like this one that expands and allows your mobile phone to clip in like that, and that's what I use at the minute when I'm out and about. Another way you might want to try, and I've seen a few people do this with great success, is rather than having a chest camera, is to get yourself a mini tripod, and when you find something, put the tripod down next to the hole, and then you can dig and show off the finds that way. These are probably about £15–20 for a decent tripod. I'd suggest getting one like this with a few extra settings, so you've got a few options as to how you record. The legs on this one are retractable. They come out and go in, so you can make it taller or shorter. And there's also a little adjustment on the neck here, which if you twist it, allows the legs to come all the way out, so you can get nice low shots as well. It's got a ball adjuster on the top with a standard tripod thread, so you can fit one of these clips onto the top so you can hold your smartphone. Same with the action camera, and you can get any angle you need to. So if you're on uneven land, you can make sure you get that shot perfectly lined up. These are also good if you want to do some static B-roll shots, static sort of landscape shots as well. You can just set that down, walk away for a second, and let the camera do its thing. Okay, so the only drawback with recording on a smartphone or an action camera is audio quality, especially if you're outside. They'll pick up any sound around the device you're using to record, and they don't do very well in wind. If you're in wind, you'll get a lot of wind noise. It's actually quite windy today, but you probably can't hear the wind noise in the microphone because I've got myself an external mic, and I suggest you do the same if you're thinking of recording outside. You can get a lapel mic, and they just clip on here. They're quite cheap, £5–10 usually. They clip onto your collar and just plug into your smartphone. They work fairly well. This is one I used last year. It's the Rode Video Mic Me, and it works like a shotgun mic. It comes with a dead cat windbreak, so you can get rid of the wind noise, and it plugs directly into the headphone jack of your mobile phone. It clips onto the back, fairly secure, and the sound quality on this is amazing. The only drawback I found is if you've got it in, you need to be extremely careful, because any movement that way on the microphone can damage not only your headphone jack on your phone, which is one of the reasons I had to upgrade my phone, but also the jack on the microphone itself. So this is now broken, can't be used. So I've actually changed to a slightly different type of microphone. It's very similar, but it fits onto the phone very differently, and I'll just take it off because it's the microphone I'm using right now, and it's this. It's made by a company called Moukey, M-O-U-K-E-Y. You can see it's got the fluffy windbreak on there as well, but it fits on using a cold shoe mount here. Now I'll put it back on the top of the phone now, so I can get my hands free. There we go. So it mounts onto the clip that you use to hold your smartphone, which does mean you'll need to get a specialised clip. I've got a few of these, one I'm using to record this with, and one on my harness, and these specialised ones have a cold shoe receiver on the top. You can see that just on there. So the way that works is the microphone will just slide in, you screw it down on a thread, and it's really nice and secure. So I'd have that on my chest, and the microphone would be facing me, smartphone here, microphone on top, and yeah, absolutely pure clear audio. The other benefit of this kind of microphone is that it only records what's in front of it. You don't get any background noise outside. So yeah, really nice, crisp, clear. If you're going to be doing videos outside, make sure you get yourself an external microphone. Okay, so those are the basic essentials you'll need in order to film a metal detecting video. Now I'm going to show you some additional extras, optional extras, that I use to make my videos look just a little bit better. The first thing I'm going to suggest is getting yourself a set of lenses. These clip onto a smartphone, so you won't use them so much on an action camera, but they'll work very well on a smartphone. This set in particular comes with a fisheye lens, I'm not sure when you'd use that, a macro lens so you can get in nice and close to the finds, and this is a wide angle lens. So I'll just show you on this phone how they clip on. So that's the way it would be as you're metal detecting. I'll just take the lens cover off, and I'll show you on this camera how it looks. So this is how it is without any lens, and that's how it looks with a lens. Obviously I'd adjust it so that you wouldn't see the microphone in the way, but you see all this extra information around the main subject. When you're metal detecting, it gives you a lot more scope to see the screen of the metal detector, the swing, and also just the general area around where you're detecting, to give people a bit more of an idea of where you are. So again, this is how much you get with the wide angle lens, and this is how much you get without. It's quite a difference, isn't it? So thinking about getting one of these, they're not terribly expensive, just for a set of these. You can get them on eBay and Amazon. The other thing you want to think about is lighting, especially if you're going to be going out early morning or late in the evening. If you're going to be doing much talking to camera, think about getting yourself one of these. It's a mini ring light, and they clip onto your smartphone. I'll show you one here. There's your front-facing camera, and it just clips on the top, so you can still see the camera through there. And then where's the button? There it is. They just turn on, varying degrees of light. Probably difficult to see in this bright daylight, but they're very good when you're talking to your camera. It lights up your face, so that it just gives the phone a little bit more light information, so you're not getting that grainy kind of feel when your camera's struggling to pick up as much light as it possibly can. It just helps out your camera a lot better and makes things look a lot nicer as well. Otherwise, what I use is one of these. This is more for looking down, so looking over the camera at the ground. This is by a brand called Ulanzi. It's a VL49 light. It's got a diffuser built in. It's rechargeable, so you haven't got to worry about batteries, and it's really bright. It's got a cold shoe mount, so it fits just on the top of my smartphone clip, and it's also got these cold shoe receivers around the outside, so I can still put my microphone on with the light. And if I turn this on, it goes right up really bright. And in the dark, this will be like a floodlight at full power, so you can make sure that you can still film in the dark and people can still see what's going on. So yeah, think about getting yourself a light. It's just an additional extra. You don't need it, but it does make things look just that little bit better. Okay, now we're going to move on to the B-roll section of the video. Now, B-roll is a way of showing the audience where you are. If you're just looking through a chest cam, the audience doesn't really get much of a sense of the landscape outside of that narrow field of view. So B-roll is a really good way of showing them exactly where you are, whether it be a field or a beach or somewhere else. B-roll can be anything really. It can be a very basic my smartphone, very basic handheld, just to pan around, just to show where you are, or you can stick it on the mini tripod and just let it sit for a few seconds just to show you where you are, maybe the leaves blowing in the grass or the waves coming in on the beach. Very easy to do a little bit of basic B-roll just to enhance your video a little bit and give the audience a bit more of a sense of where you are. Now, I've always been interested in video making, even before I got seriously into metal detecting, so I quite like my B-roll to be a little bit more cinematic, and I've got several tools here to show you to help me when I'm out to do just that. So let me show you what they are. Okay, so the first tool I use when I'm out and about doing B-roll is this. It's a smartphone gimbal. Cheap and cheery, about £30–40 off of Amazon. It's got a little receiver here, springy receiver for a smartphone. If I just drop that in there. It's rechargeable, so you haven't got to worry about batteries. And if I just turn this on, there we go. You can see it keeps the smartphone oriented exactly where you want it. Okay, it's good for if you're doing like a shot that looks out from somewhere, or if you just want to walk forwards and make sure the camera stays steady. This is an excellent option. It's got a little joystick on the control. If I move the control stick around, got a little joystick on here you can use to position the camera so you can get the angle that you want. And there's a switch here that gives you various options. You can either do it as it is now, which just keeps the key smartphone oriented there, keeps the smartphone pointing in the same direction, same angle, same everything, no matter what you do. You've got the next option, which gives you a little bit more control, so you can pan around a little bit. Just smooths out the pan motion. And then you've got another option which just moves the camera wherever you put the gimbal, and just smooths out the motion, so there's fewer shakes, and you haven't got that sort of sharp change if you're going to be moving the camera about. So yeah, really good option. You can do all sorts of things with these. You can do push in, pull out shots, you can do panning shots, you can do camera shots, sort of camera jib shots, so moving the camera from low to high. And if you use something like this, which is just a tripod, extends like that, but it closes down into this cylinder, and you can screw that onto the bottom, and it gives you a lot of extra length, and you can actually do shots that look almost like a drone shot. You can move up and really get quite high, and it looks almost like a drone shot because it's higher than you'd normally get with your hand alone. So yeah, there's an option for you. This is all completely optional, obviously, but there's one thing I use, which is a handheld smartphone gimbal. Okay, a couple of quick tips if you're going to use your smartphone to record B-roll. If you're going to do it handheld, you'll find a lot of shaking and micro movements will creep into your footage, which doesn't look fantastic. So if you use the slow motion option on your camera, if your phone can do that, it'll actually reduce the amount of wiggling that your smartphone does while you're using it. It'll reduce the camera shake, and it'll give your footage a real cinematic feel. I use it a lot for nearly all of my B-roll now, and it actually looks really, really good. So yeah, use the slow motion setting whenever you can. The other little tip is on focus and exposure. Now, with a smartphone, if you move it about, say if you're doing a panning shot, for example, as new objects come into frame, the camera in the smartphone will be constantly looking and focusing on new things as you move around. Even on a static shot, say a shot like this where you're filming a person and they're waving their arms about and doing all sorts of movements, the phone will continually try to refocus, and you'll find that the image just goes in and out of focus all the time. You can also find the exposure changes if you're moving the camera around and the sun's in a particular point in the sky. You'll find as you move closer, the exposure will change, and it'll just make your shot look not quite so good. The trick to get around that is to point your camera at part of the subject you're going to be filming, tap once, and that will focus on a particular part of the scene, and then hold your finger down for 2 or 3 seconds. That will lock the focus and the exposure on those settings. Then you can go for your move or set up your camera shot like this, and you'll find that the camera isn't constantly going in and out of focus, and you don't get washout bleed from the exposure as your phone's trying to compensate with the new information it's being given. Give those 2 tips a try, and I guarantee your B-roll will start looking absolutely fantastic. Okay, so when you're out and about doing your B-roll with your smartphone, because smartphones tend to be quite thin, they're really difficult to grip, and whilst you can still get nice panning shots and zooming shots with them, they can be a little bit shaky. So one of the things I use is this. It's a smartphone rig made by Ulanzi, same as the light I showed you earlier. Now it's got a phone clip in there. I just put my phone in there, so the phone sits in the centre there, little dial on the back just to tighten it up so that it doesn't come loose. And what this does is it gives you a much wider, firmer grip. You're gripping it with both hands like this as opposed to with your fingers, so you actually reduce a lot of the shake and trembles you get when you're holding the smartphone on its own. It's really good for sort of zooming in shots, or if you're going to walk with it, it just smooths things out a little bit. You can do pans, you can do slides, all sorts of things with this. It's really, really useful. It's got a tripod mount on the bottom, so if you want to use this as a tripod rig, you can. There are 3 cold shoe receivers on the top, so you can still fit your microphone and a lamp, maybe something else on the top if you feel like it. You can also mount it portrait if you want. There's a tripod mount on there as well, so really useful, really flexible, and I actually use this on the tripod quite a bit when I'm at home recording videos, because I can put so many accessories on the top. So yeah, smartphone rig, really good option. Give that a try. Okay, so the last bit of kit I'm going to show you today is something a little bit specialist, but I really like the effect that it gives. It's a piece of kit I've got made by Neewer, N-E-E-W-E-R, and it's a smartphone slider. Now, these are used by professional videographers to get some really, really good shots. It's a small one, it's 40 centimeters in length. It comes with this brilliant little carry case, so it's nice and safe in your bag. And what it is a platform with a tripod mount. I fitted a smartphone clip onto the top for this, and it's on ball bearings. So it moves left and right. It's got a little rubber cap in there so it doesn't damage anything. So you'd set this down on the ground and you'd just do it by hand. You just move the slider along and it keeps the movement really, really smooth and set, so you haven't got any sort of hand shake or anything in there. And if you use it, especially if you use it with a slow motion function on your camera, you can get some really, really nice looking shots. If you're going to use one of these, try and use a shot which has got a lot of movement, a lot of depth to it. So maybe in grass, you've got some grass up close, some grass up a bit further away, some trees in the background, and that'll give you a nice little bit of depth just as the camera moves along. So yeah, optional extra. It's got some tripod mounts on there, so you can put it onto a tripod. There's 1, 2, 3 mounts there for it, and also you can mount it at the end if you want to do a vertical slide shot as well. There we are, that's the new smartphone slider. So that's all the equipment I take out with me each week for my metal detecting hunts. I bet it's a little bit more than you were expecting. Now you're probably wondering, how on earth do I carry all that with me? Well, I use one of these, a rucksack. But not just any rucksack. This is made by a company called Modern Day Athlete. It's a military style 45-litre rucksack. Everything I've shown you today fits in here really, really comfortably with space to spare. We've got a couple of small pockets on the front, a nice little Velcro area for your patches, Nokta Makro, D-TEKT Sussex, of course. We've got 2 big pockets here as well, each with little organising areas inside. This large pocket at the back, actually the zip goes all the way around, so you've got a 180-degree split, so it opens up that way. Got a nice big pocket in the back here as well. All sorts of clips and straps and things to clip things to, pinpointers, whatever you need. It's rugged, it's waterproof, it's an absolutely fantastic bag. So check them out, Modern Day Athlete. I'll pop a little website link in the description below. So I hope that gives you a little insight into the making of an episode of D-TEKT Sussex, the equipment and techniques I use to put one together. If you enjoyed it, if you learned something, drop me a like down below and a comment below the video. If you're new around here and you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and you'll get a video from me every single week in your subscriptions list. Have a good week, everybody. Take care.